Hey Mo,
Hey Ricky, happy what is it? Wednesday. Happy hump day.
Wednesday, and I'm so happy to see you. The doctor is in.
The doctor is in. We have a really exciting topic today, and I think one that we don't give enough time and energy and research and even conversations to. So
Yeah,
we're going to talk to some MetaThriver moms today. Ricky, give us some background on this particular episode.
yeah. So I call these ladies MetaThrivers. I don't know if it's a real word or if I made it up, but they are all young moms living with metastatic breast cancer, and we're gonna have them tell their stories, but they're young, they're moms, they're doing their thing, and one of the stats I always kind of talk to people pharma about and people about is that there 77.3% of Black moms, so everybody, all Black moms, are single moms. What does that mean? Most of them are the breadwinners for their families, and there's another number that 70% of Black moms are the breadwinner for their family. So I think in a lot of cases, either you're a single mom, you may even be a married mom, but you're bringing home the bacon, frying it up in a pan, dealing with the kids, doing the homework, being the household mom. And guess what? You now have metastatic breast cancer. So how do you deal? How do you live every day? And I mean, just the challenges of being a mom are
Yeah.
enough. But when you're young, you got young kids, and now you got metastatic breast cancer, really? So I call them MetaThriver MegaMoms because they are moms with the super capes, with the pink and purple and whatever color capes, and they are doing their thing. And I'm so proud of them, and they are just so awesome. And so we have Deltra, we have Jamil, and we have Misha. And so I'm going to let them, let's start with Delta, let her introduce herself and tell their stories and kind of get into our conversation because they have so much wisdom to share. When you talk to all three of them, they always amaze me about, what they're bringing to the table, what they're dealing with, and how they're just making magic and miracles happen with their babies every day.
But before they share their story, I guess I want to say that, the most recent article came out that breast cancer now has surpassed lung cancer as the leading cancer for women across the around the world. So breast cancer is now number one in terms of incidence and in terms of mortality. We got a long way to go. And so the conversation tonight, even though it focuses on metastatic breast cancer, is a universal one because any woman who's been sitting in that seat, I can't tell you the number of women I saw today in my exam room. And as soon as you hear the words, you have cancer, you have breast cancer, your mind goes all these places and you don't necessarily feel equipped to deal with your
Right.
diagnosis at any stage. And so I'm hopeful and I'm excited that these women are going to shed some light on how they are managing in their day-to-day lives, what's bringing them joy, what gives them hope, and just share, their testimonies with us today. So we're gonna start with Deetra. Welcome to the show.
Let me unmute. You guys can hear me okay?
Yeah, we hear you.
Hi, thanks for having me here. So I am Deltra. I am just turned 35, mama of 5 girls from ages 5 to 15.
I'd be like, just from that.
No, you wouldn't. You would do awesome. Um,
5 to 50.
so in summer of 2019, August, I found actually not August, around end of July, I found a lump myself because, as many other young women find ourselves, no one's really checking on us for all that. And I didn't have the family history, to support me starting any like early mammograms or anything like that. So I was just doing my, regular self exams. When I discovered this lump, I actually was not even doing a self exam. I think, it was just the whole also being aware of your body. Um, so I found it myself, wasn't really worried about it, but went ahead and made myself an appointment to see my doctor. And I'm really grateful because, I hear a lot of stories of women getting, just young women specifically, getting dismissed by their doctors when they come to them, with concerns over, finding a lump. But my doctor wasn't concerned, but she still heard me and she went ahead and, just to give me peace of mind, said, all right, we'll schedule you a ultrasound, and I had it that same week. Everything moved very quickly. Um, and at that ultrasound, I wasn't nervous until my tech got nervous at what she was seeing, and she actually like brought in a doctor slash the person who read them, I suppose. And he also looked concerned, but he was like, "You're young, probably the whole cysts, fibroids, whatever." Um, and then they went ahead and scheduled me for a biopsy the following week. So that's when I really got concerned and nervous. um, but when I went to my biopsy, um, the breast surgeon that I saw and who I still see was really awesome, and she was just like, let's just do this. If it's nothing, then great. I don't have to see you back here again, and that's great. And she was like, and if it's cancer, then you got me. So we'll get through this. And that was just very reassuring. um so after I had that biopsy, just about 3 days later, I was actually baking with my daughters and got a phone call from the breast surgeon. And she was like, I would not normally, and I'm adding this because it isn't the norm to get a phone call. And she made that very clear. But she actually was scheduled to be away the next week on vacation. So she wanted to let me know the results. And, she just let me know. Unfortunately, it did come back as cancer. I have a little one over here. And it was a lot taken. I think it just kind of feels unreal. And it felt like I was just kind of paused in that moment. And I don't know that I really was able to hear anything she really said after. I mean, I had to call back the next week to find out everything they wanted me to do, because she wanted to get the ball rolling, which was awesome. She had her team very on top of everything, lining me up with all the scans and all of that, which I was just also really grateful for, because I hear a lot of women, they don't get like full body scans and all of that. And so for me, it was kind of a whirlwind of scans for like 3 weeks. And uh, in one of those scans, we saw something in my liver, and my doctor was just like, everyone has some, can I curse on here, some in their liver. And so I wasn't stressed about it, but we got a biopsy, which unfortunately came back that it was breast cancer in my liver, which bumped me up to stage 4. So I was stage 4 de novo, as they say, right out the gate. Which of course was just a lot to wrap my head around, to go from not being a part of, cancer community to boom, you're like all up in the cancer community. Um, yeah, so it was a lot, and it has been a lot. But I've, like I said, just kind of dove into leaning on community. I was really shook up at first by my diagnosis. I mean, a stage 4 diagnosis, a triple negative diagnosis, was just a lot to wrap my head around. But I found a lot of support, um, and a lot of strength through sharing my story and connecting with others. So
Bless you. Awesome, 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 awesome. Nisha, you want to go next?
Sure, I will share my story. So I am 29 years young. I have two boys. One will be 4 in April. The other one's turning 2 next week. Um, I actually found my lump as well. I was about 20 weeks pregnant with my 2-year-old. And it was just one of those things. It was being aware of my body, noticing that something wasn't right. I was constantly going to the doctor anyway for my pregnancy screenings. So when I went to see my doctor, I presented the lump to him. At this time, it was very small. It probably was stage 0 or stage 1 at that point. When I presented the lump to him, unfortunately, it was one of those cases where, oh, you're young, it's probably not cancer. You're pregnant. It could very well be a clogged milk duct. So the instructions that I'm giving you are to practice heat compressions. So when you're standing in the shower, just let the hot water run. Take a hot washcloth and apply that pressure there and work that clogged milk duct. So me, not having the history of breast cancer in my family, or even thinking that I could have breast cancer, because at the time I was 26, cancer was not on my radar. So I followed the instructions of my doctor, who I, thought highly of, and just couldn't see any reason why it wouldn't be, a clogged milk duct. So as time progressed, this lump continued to get bigger. Still, I'm applying these compressions. I was waiting for delivery of my child. The focus shifted to gestational diabetes and hypertension, or preeclampsia. So the focus was then on the baby and his health, and making sure that we were able to get the delivery going. So this lump was not a thought process for the doctors at this time. So I had to deliver my baby a couple of weeks early. It wasn't until I was in the hospital and the lactation specialist was going around helping the new moms, lactate. So me just asking, hey, you see a lot of breast. And you might know, is this a clogged milk duct? Are we gonna, is this gonna work if we're continuing to pump? What's the deal with this? She let me in on some insight and said to me, I really don't believe that it's a clogged milk duct. I'm not trying to scare you, but it's definitely not a clogged milk duct. So she initiated an order for me to have a screening done there at the hospital. Just, I believe it was an ultrasound or something like that. Again, I'm young. They're under the assumption it could be fibroids or something like that. They canceled the order from the doctor. So I followed up with my doctor, and it was finally an opportunity for me to get the screening done. It just seemed like it took a series of months to actually have the ultrasound done on the breast. But during the ultrasound, I kind of knew something was up, because the tech was just asking questions that just didn't seem, normal. They try not to let you know what's going on. They try not to freak you out, but you could tell by the series of questions that were being asked that, oh crap, something's going on, So I want to say a week or so passed. I went to see my primary doctor. I was with my mother, actually. And that's when I received my diagnosis. It was at that time just diagnosed at stage 3. It wasn't until I got hooked up with my cancer facility, my treatment center. They did some more scanning, and they realized that the cancer had spread to several of my lymph nodes and my liver. So stage 4, right then and there, they restaged me. And, then just came the process of surgery, radiation, and chemotherapy. And here we are, so that's kind of how this all started for me.
Wow. Wow. 26. Wow. And so you went from 20 weeks pregnant to now how old's your baby when you finally got diagnosed correctly?
He was 3 months old.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So you lost like 4 months, 5 months, right?
Oh, yes.
Time.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And you wonder where the Mets happened,
Mm-hmm.
Okay, my Jamil. What did Jamil?
Hello, my name is Jamil. I'm 42 and I have 3 boys. My bonus one who's 19, I didn't have to birth him, and then my younger 2 that are 9 and 8. And my diagnosis wasn't the traditional, just because, and I am one of those women who is a Black woman. I'm married, great partner, great husband. However, he's had his health challenges. So I'm the primary breadwinner and holding it down and all that. He had to have a liver transplant in 2009, and unfortunately had to forego his career for a bit. And then in 2012 was diagnosed with colon cancer. And so lucky was stage 1. He went through the chemotherapy and surgery and all of that. But at this time, I'm having babies 2011 and 2012, and just continue to be that Black superwoman holding it down and everything else and being there for his. But I was definitely in caregiver mode. And then 2015, I got pregnant with twins, and unfortunately, we lost them. And of course, you know, your body prepares at that time, and your breast engorged and all of that. And then after the pregnancy was lost, I noticed the left breast automatically went back to normal right away. The right breast still texturally felt a little different. It wasn't a lump, but I could tell like it's firmer than normal. And so had the same OBGYN with both of the birth of my boys, and she was familiar with my history. And the right breast, since I breastfed both, was always the overactive one. So when I pointed it out to her, she wasn't too concerned. She just kind of thought the same thing, that it was the blocked milk duct. Oh, you know, no strong history of breast cancer in my family. Just said, you know what, it's probably just a black milk duct. Don't worry about it. And so I continued to go on with life and everything. Didn't have any pain or anything like that. Um, Fast forward to the winter of 2017, house full of kids, everybody gets their colds. Um, and my turn came, and my cold didn't go away. So after a month, I'm hacking and coughing and sneezing, and I went to my primary doctor. She prescribed me an antibiotic. 2 weeks later, still coughing and hacking, to the point where I would you know, at work, I have to do presentations, and, you know, I would have to have a cup of tea with me just to get through a normal presentation or be in a meeting, because I was just coughing so incessantly. And then she prescribed an asthma pump. That didn't work either. And then finally she said, well, let's do a chest scan. And so I had also asked for an ultrasound because I felt a little pinch on my side, and wasn't painful or anything, but just, oh, that's different. I've never had that feeling before. And I knew that appendicitis and gallbladder issues run in my family. So I had just asked for the ultrasound. Go to the doctor, get the chest scan and the ultrasound, and the results then show that I have lesions all over my body. So, except for my spine and my brain. So, why do I have lesions all over my body? Fast forward, mammogram, biopsies, testing, you know, full body scan. I have metastatic de novo, hormone positive, HER2 negative breast cancer that has gone everywhere in my body except for my spine and my brain, and absolutely feeling fine, going to work, you know, being mom, no signs or symptoms. So of course I was really upset. My youngest at the time was 5. I just thought my life was over. You know, I have stage 4 breast cancer. Who's going to take care of my kids? It was like a bomb dropped in my life. And so I'm breaking down crying at the hospital, like, oh my goodness, who's going to take care of my kids? And the cancer center that I was at, you know, the radiologist basically held my hand and said, you know, we have a whole floor upstairs of young women with metastatic breast cancer, and we're here for you. We'll continue to be here for you. And this doesn't mean that you're going to die like tomorrow or next week. And so from there, you know, come home, tell my family, and from there, it was like I got plugged in right away. So from there, I'm just thinking, I have to live for my kids. I have to survive. So I got really involved with advocacy very, very quickly. So I got diagnosed in March. I think I was trained as an advocate in science and part of the Young Advocate program of Living Beyond Breast Cancer in June. And so just learning as much as I could. And I used every resource available to me because, of course, I didn't want my husband, who is also a cancer survivor, to be overwhelmed. So I used as many support resources as possible. I had American Cancer Society providing resources and LBBC, and used as much as possible. And fast forward, did 1 year of Abraxane IV chemotherapy. All of the tumors, the solid tumors in my body, shrunk. And so I've reached no evidence of disease. I also had to push and advocate to have my ovaries removed because for whatever reason, it wasn't the protocol for metastatic breast cancer patients who are undergoing chemotherapy to get their ovaries removed. But I just thought, well, if I have hormone positive breast cancer, I want to shut down the energy source, shut it down to, not feed the breast cancer. And it took me about a month of going back and forth for them to agree, because I didn't know if I would ever be able to get off chemotherapy. So I wanted to kind of stop the energy that was feeding the cancer. So I did get my ovaries removed, went back and finished an additional 6 months of chemotherapy. And then now I'm on my second line of treatment, which is a CDK4/6 inhibitor and an aromatase inhibitor. And I've been no evidence of disease for 2 years. And I get my scans every 3 months. And so, but at the same time, when I went through IV chemo, I couldn't disclose to my job that I had breast cancer because I had just started 5 months prior. Didn't know if I was eligible for FMLA. I had been fired in the past for being pregnant. And so I didn't want to roll the dice and run the risk of my family then being in jeopardy. So I pretty much got my eyebrows tattooed, shaved my head, got a wig, and just went to work. And so I was able to continue to go to work full time with going to chemo and everything else. And then finally, about a year later, my job found out. But on this journey, I've been mentoring and, working as an advocate, coaching other women, and then just finally formalized into a full-on nonprofit, the educational initiative and mentoring and breast cancer coaching that I've been doing. And so happy that we got the Chrysalis initiative formalized. And so that's now what I'm busy with: living with NBC, launching a nonprofit, still being an executive, being mom of 3 boys, being a married mom. And it's just, it's
And
a
a
lot.
partridge in a pear tree.
Yep.
Right?
We're all
Exactly.
passionate. I mean,
Wow.
these
So-
amazing women are these amazing women, right?
Yeah, so much to unpack. And I want to touch on some of the things that you said in your stories, but let me ask you this question first, because with all that you do, give me a brief day in the life of, what's a typical Wednesday like in your house?
Well, I know for me, it's all the moving parts. So I think even pre-COVID, it was what's going on with the kids. And then now it's, okay, what do the kids have on the agenda? So they're busy kids, and everybody has like their what's going on. So my husband has the e-commerce business. I have to go to work. I now have a nonprofit launch. The kids are going to virtual school. What's on the agenda? And we have to keep track of everything. So it's like being project manager. And so even pre-COVID, just going to work, dealing with everything that goes with that. And then finally being able to connect at the end of the day with everybody as a family.
Deltra and Misha, same question.
So a typical Wednesday for me is, we start our days very early here. 5 a.m. is wake up. I too am married. I'm getting my husband's lunch ready. I'm getting the kids ready for school. I'm also taking care of myself because I've become way more health conscious. So I'm prepping my juice or my nutritional shake that I'm going to take. I'm getting my family on board with the same type of diet and regimen. We're rushing out the door to get the kids to school. I still have to come home and take care of our new puppy because we're crazy. And we added that to the mix of 2 babies. Taking care of the puppy. The house still has to be cleaned. I run a ministry that has been super helpful to me. I run my own business. So, I mean, it's a jam-packed day, and then you turn around and you do it again. You go pick up the kids, you're doing dinner, and you're doing that nighttime routine. So, I mean, it's jam-packed.
Wow.
Yeah, I need to move in with you so you could teach me your ways. Get me on the ball. You said 5 a.m. wake up. I was like, oh, girl, no, I'm not about that life. I'm a late sleeper. Yeah, things in my house are very chill for, people assume with 5 kids that it might be really crazy. But they're 5 girls and they get along pretty well and they can do their own thing and play pretty quiet sometimes. For quite a while. We're what I call OG homeschoolers. We were homeschooling always before, pre-COVID and everything. My oldest is a high schooler this year, and none of my children have ever attended traditional school. Yeah, so our days always, right now though, life looks kind of different since my diagnosis. So after my diagnosis, me and my husband actually separated and we're in our own new space. Oh, you can hear one of my littles running around right now. Yeah, so it's been very focused on like healing and just togetherness, being together, playing games. We like playing games a lot, getting outdoors in nature when we can, and just being together. That's just so much of my focus. And it always was. I mean, obviously, we homeschooled this whole time, so we've had a lot of togetherness. But now I'm like super intentional about it and, being in tune with each child's individual emotions too. So yeah, it's just a lot of focus on fun and learning and being together.
Ooh, tell me more about fun, all of you. So, um, what's bringing you joy, and when's the last time you did something completely silly or stupid or just, ridiculously funny?
That is all the time.
Yeah, right?
These kids, House of Kids is just constant making you laugh and silliness.
Yeah, that's so true. I think sometimes I'm a little saddened that my kids are so young because living with NBC, you just never know, right?
Yes.
Am I going to make, I remember going to the kindergarten graduation
Mhm.
and thinking, okay, am I going to make the next graduation? Or little moments, I'm like, okay, am I going to Christmas? Am I going to be here at the next Christmas? And so it's just always in the back of your mind. But with us, it's like with them being so young and so goofy, it's jam packed. I'm surprised it's quiet because we have a dog,
Mhm.
and then the boys always running around, always wrestling, always wanting to play fight, sword fight, Nerf gun. So it's always a lot going on, a lot of running around. I don't even know why we don't attempt to clean because it's just like too much going on, because it's just mayhem all the time. And they have martial arts, they're busy with that. And me, I love stand-up comedy. I think that to
Oh,
me
yes.
therapeutic for me.
Laughter is medicine.
Yes. So we definitely, and me and I think I'm the only one that makes my husband laugh actually. So we just constantly are cracking jokes and being silly all day. And, it's funny because I never thought that I would like working from home. I just never
Mhm.
thought I would be that. Well, work from home. I would never be productive from home, but I'm actually more productive working from home. It's amazing. But it's nice because it's like we're on a compound. So it's like, oh, okay, my husband gardens and we're eating healthy and we're cooking and then we're connecting and healing and loving and it's nice, so, but yeah, we're goofy all the time.
Yeah, same here. I mean, you have to be intentional, like Deltra said. So every day, it's literally we're intentional about our interactions with one another. The kids, they're young, but I just signed my 3-year-old up for soccer. So we're excited now to get into the sports, aspect of things and be on the sideline being the obnoxious parents.
Yeah, we love
Um,
soccer over here. We're
yeah,
soccer
so
people.
we are super excited about that. And, my husband and I, we try to make it a point to just really decompress at the end of the day and enjoy one another, whether it's watching a movie or just chit chatting about how the day went. Because, like I said, we have jam packed schedules, things are busy, but we have to be intentional. We have to take time to spend with one another and laugh and connect. So that's kind of how we go through our process.
Wow.
I also think we don't know living with NBC. Just right now, I'm so appreciative of being on an oral treatment, being no evidence of disease, not having any complications. feeling good enough to walk around, run around, play Nerf gun, that
Yep.
because you just don't know what's going to pop up later, because even though you can live a long time with NBC, there's definitely some hiccups along the road that you might run into. And so it's just, okay, well, I'm feeling good today, so anytime you have an opportunity and you're feeling good, I'm the yes parent. So whenever they're
Yep.
like, can we do this? Can we do it? I'm always like, yes. So it's unfortunate because my husband, he's always the one like, no, no, no. And he's the disciplinarian and all that. But, I pretty much, if it's not going to kill him or hurt him, I say yes. So I'm that parent now.
I love it.
I love that. I love it.
Can
So-
I ask you? Oh,
Okay.
sorry, Vicky, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, Deltra and Misha, like what treatment are you on now? We know Jamil's taking a pill. What are you guys doing in terms of treatment? Like, how's that affecting your life?
Yeah, so unfortunately, being triple negative, I don't have a pill to take.
You know,
Um,
I was right
but
there.
yes, so it's IV all the way. Thankfully, right now though, the treatment that I'm on is just once a month, because when I started out, I did Abraxane into Centrix, which is an immunotherapy, and I think I was every week, like 3 weeks on, 1
that's
week
how I was
off.
too.
Yes, and I mean, I was just like, I got used to it, and I just thought of it as like my me time, so it was okay. But it's much nicer to be, only going there once a month. So
If you having a once a month infusion. Yeah, how are your side effects?
yeah. Well, I just started this. I just had my second infusion actually Monday. But so far, like since diagnosis, my experience with side effects has been like, I'm just really grateful. It's been next to none. So
It's awesome. Blessing, blessing.
That is a blessing.
How about you, Misha? What are you taking?
Yeah. So I'm currently doing IV chemo. I was on a series of different chemos. I was on a pill form, but it was showing to not be progressing with the liver, so the liver was progressing. So they put me back on an IV chemo that I did really well on in the beginning. So I go once a week, 3 weeks on, and then I have 1 week off. Of course, hair loss. So, I have a bunch of girlfriends. That's what I call them. Yeah, I've gotten really good at doing my makeup and my eyebrows. So I am not so much worried about the hair loss anymore. But, of course, I have the fatigue, the bone pain, but I keep pushing through it when I'm in pain. I like to work out as well. And by working out, I like to attribute that soreness to my workout versus it being anything cancer related. So I kind of trick my brain that way. I'm like, oh, dang, I had a good workout. I'm sore today, But that's really where I'm at right now. So I'm just doing that. And we'll continue this process for a while. We'll do another scan later down the road to just see that it is that it is working the way that the doctor intends for it to work. So that's where we're at.
Wow. That's incredible. We had a question from a viewer who wants to know, how did you talk to your kids about mommy's condition, and what did you say? Because I think a lot of women are struggling with that language, and it'd be really helpful to hear how you had that conversation and continue to have that conversation.
Well, I can say that I asked my oncology social worker, and also at my cancer center, I'm in individual therapy. So my psychotherapist basically recommended books that explain cancer to kids that age. And so gave them the books first. And, I explained, that I was sick and that it's not something that they could catch, and just explained to them what breast cancer is and what that means, and that, I have to constantly go to the doctor and constantly take medicine in order to try to, deal with it as best as possible. And initially I tried to shield them from seeing me bald. And so I would just wear, wigs and things like that around the house. And then finally, my youngest at the time came in my room and he said, "Mommy, I know you're wearing a wig." So he said, "I'm not leaving the room until you take it off."
Wow.
said, well, excuse me. And so, I took it off and he was like, okay. And just kept it moving. And so I think that, and my husband was telling me at the time, like, they're really not going to care. You always so scared about traumatizing them. But, and he was right. They pretty much just was like, oh, okay. And I think that because of my husband having his health condition and then me having mine, it's just been part of what's normal for them, right? But I also think that this is making them grow into people that are just amazing little people. So they're like extra empathetic and extra compassionate and always wanting to help others. And I wonder if that's due to them constantly doting on me and, their dad always constantly think about how we're doing. And so for little kids, they're just really thoughtful. So, but yeah, we're just really honest about their questions. And so sometimes my youngest, he's the most inquisitive one. And he'll ask things like, so what happens if the cancer starts growing again? And what are you going to do? And things like that. Could you die if you weren't able to control the cancer? And I just try to be as matter of fact and answer his questions, and just let him get everything out that he's thinking about and scared about. And we just try to approach it where just being forthcoming and honest and transparent, and not have secrets, and have them also use it as an opportunity for them to think about their family history and what they eat, and try to you both have parents that are both cancer survivors, so you now really have to think about taking care of yourself, being healthy. What are you eating? Are you exercising? And all of that. So that definitely, my youngest one especially, is like, well, did I get enough vegetables today? Did I drink enough water? So he's definitely on it. So yeah.
And he's 7.
8.
He's 8.
Yeah.
God bless him. What about you, Altra? What about you?
Well, I have quite a age range. So I have littles and then I have older. So obviously you would kind of, those conversations look different. But I definitely agree. I've always um, took a really like open and honest approach with anything that I talk to my kids about. And I really believe that kids just are capable of understanding, a lot more than we give them credit for. They're really adaptable. They're really resilient. So I treat them that way. So yeah, I kind of handled my diagnosis the same way I handle it, talking about it the same way I handled teaching my kids, talking to them about sex. It's just like ongoing little conversations forever. Like as questions come up, very open, honest, matter of fact. Yeah, and age appropriate, with age appropriateness in mind, but very matter of fact, very honest. And that's just worked for us and continues to work for us. Um, and definitely lots of good resources. I mean, I'm a homeschooler, so I love books and books. Like I've used books to create unit studies and talk about any and everything. Actually, years ago, before my diagnosis, I got a bunch of books together to use because I wanted to do a unit study specifically on death. And there are some really good books for talking about that to children. And I'm really appreciative of that now. And so, yeah, I also went to my social worker at my cancer center, and she was a great resource. She let me know about some different organizations, got me connected with them, and they just, were helpful, got some books sent to me. And then I'm in different, like Facebook social groups with other young moms living with cancer. And so, they've shared different books. It is hard to find one specifically about metastatic, though. I will say I've just found one recently because, so many, like for younger kids, picture books are something about cancer, about moms who are early stagers, and so I actually am just diving into one that is a picture book. It's pretty new, and I think it's called The Cancer That Wouldn't Go Away. um, yeah, and it has like discussion questions and how to use the book, tips for how to use the book in the back of the book. Yeah, so that's a good one. But there's a lot of really good resources. I think books are really useful for preparing yourself, for preparing your kids, and then it's just continuing talking. Like Jamel mentioned, it's such an opportunity. I think you don't want to hide things from them because, I mean, as parents, it can come naturally to want to hide things and protect them from emotions, but that's part of the human experience. Even the hard things in life is part of the human experience, and our kids are going to go through hard things, and as a family we can go through it together and connect. Yeah, but I think it's an opportunity for them to learn to be more compassionate. So, I wouldn't want them to miss out on that.
This is incredible.
I know, right?
Did you say
Your kids are little, so she's she's mentioned about she
the
can't really
cancer that
talk
just wouldn't go away?
Yes, the book is called The Cancer That Wouldn't Go Away.
It wouldn't go away. Thank you. I'm going to put it in the comments for our
Yep.
folks.
Okay. So Misha, your kids are little. You can't even really talk about it.
Yeah, no, they know when I have a doctor's appointment, or if I'm not feeling well. I've had a double mastectomy. I was not recommended for reconstruction, so I am what they call flat. I was getting out of the shower one day and my 3-year-old came in and he saw, your scars and my scars, and he said, "What happened, mommy? Are you okay? Who did it?" And I told him, I said, "Oh, I'm fine." I said, there was something that was making me sick. So they had to take it away, but mommy's fine. And that's why I go to the doctor. And that's just kind of the understanding he has right now. I mean, he's 3, and then I'll have my youngest will be 2. So they're not really of that comprehension level. But again, I do let them know, when I'm going to the doctor, they know. And my son, my 3-year-old, he'll ask me, "Oh, did you go to the doctor today? Did you have a good day at the doctor?" Just because I asked him, "Did you have a good day at school?" So it's just, it's whenever it's the appropriate time. And as they age, conversations will be had when it's necessary, so.
Yeah. But there's that compassion piece, right? Like it's like becomes a normal, like kind of part of their life.
It floored me when he said, "Who did it? What happened?" It was just the greatest thing. So protective of his mom, so.
Yes.
I think there's a book here. I think y'all need to write a book together.
Yeah.
How to talk to your kids.
I was just thinking that you're
Yeah.
right. There is a metastatic, or even just books for kids that feature, a Black family.
Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, because your book, the cancer guy, was it a Black book or no? Probably not, right?
No.
Yeah, so we need a
Nope.
Black book, y'all. That's another conversation. Okay, let's.
Yeah.
And I would even love to interview the kids.
Mm.
That is
like blowing me away here. I can't even talk, Mo. Like, you talk.
I'm listening, and the things that are running through my mind. So, the surgeon over here, right? I'm thinking, number one, this whole clogged milk duct, right? This blanket statement for whatever is going on.
That was bunk.
Right. And so I guess the thing I want people watching to know is this: if a doctor tells you something like, "Oh, it's a clogged milk duct," and they haven't actually done any imaging, right? They haven't actually looked at it. They have an ultrasound in their office. Did they pull it out? Did they use it? What experience are they drawing upon? And so the words I would like for all of you to learn is, how can we be sure? Right? How can we be sure? 5 words that could get you diagnosed earlier, and it still might be the same outcome, but something that can help you and help that surgeon see you as a person worthy of this topic being investigated further. Because I'm so sick of seeing young women especially get turned away because, oh, it's a clogged milk duct, and when we see pregnant women, especially with lumps, with masses that don't feel normal, my spidey sense tingles immediately. And I'm like, I'm not trying to scare you, but we need to get some pictures taken. We need to do X, Y, Z. And I move quick, because the hormones that cause pregnancy and that induce labor can increase the risk for breast cancer. And so, I just want everybody to put that, even now, as you go through your treatment journey, how can we be sure? How can we check that? But that one, and then also, what would you do if I were your wife, your daughter, your sister? And that too, you know, takes the doctor, takes that white coat off and it puts that person hat back on that says, oh wait, this is somebody's mom, this is somebody's sister, this isn't just the room, the exam room, you know, because
Yep.
it can be easy in the course of a day, seeing 20, 30, you know, who knows, 40 patients to stop and recognize that that everybody's not the same and it's not all
Right.
cookie cutter, especially our cancer. It's not always cookie cutter. So that's where I am. I'm over here kind of fuming. But the second thing I heard you say, Misha, was you got surgery. And I think that is an evolving change in the way we manage metastatic breast cancer, because previously surgeons would be like, oh, you got metastatic breast cancer, see you later. There's nothing for me to do here.
Yeah,
Port it,
exactly.
right? I'll put the port in and see you later. But there actually is a clinical trial, Ricky, that's going on that is enrolling women. And the trial is E2108, E2108. It is an ongoing prospective randomized clinical trial, meaning enrolling patients currently, addressing the role of surgery for the primary tumor in metastatic breast cancer patients. And so I wanted to point that out. If anybody is watching, you know, you might want to talk to your doctor about whether or not surgery is an option for you, because the thought process that surgery is not going to be curative and isn't helpful for you may not necessarily be the case.
Right. Right. I have a question for you guys. What keeps you up at night?
Who's going to take care of my kids if I'm not here? Are they going to be traumatized by the loss of losing their mother? And then their lives will then go in a downward spiral. You know, where will they have like addiction issues or become depressed or suicidal because that reinforcement is not there? Or if I'm lost, will my husband be able to hold it down without me? You know, will he then, you know, just crumble emotionally and not really be able to parent? Who else in my immediate circle will be able to be there if I'm not here? You know, would they take care of them and make sure that they have the best possible future possible? So I think what keeps fuel in my tank, where I'm just constantly going, where my doctor tells me all the time, I'm not just thinking about the treatment I'm on, I'm thinking about, you know, plan A, plan B, plan C, you know, and what the implications are. So I'm just constantly thinking about how really self-cognizant about taking care of myself and not letting anyone down, because that's what's keeping me, where my brain is constantly always going, just how can I be here for them?
Mhm. What about you, Deltra?
Gosh, you know, honestly, not too much. Honestly, right now I have to be on steroids, so that's what literally keeps me up at night. Unfortunately, right. You know, when I was first diagnosed, man, like it was like sleep who. My anxiety was on 100. I was on, you know, no shame, and I was on an anxiety medication. I was taking Xanax, and it was just lots of sleepless nights. I'm very grateful. Those are like so few and far apart now. A huge part of that is just, I think that I just really am present, and I just try and focus on the present and be really intentional with my interactions with my daughters, and just having, you know, a lot of supportive people around me, from family to like friends, especially strong women who I would feel comfortable with them, you know, having to look up to. That gives me a lot of peace, you know. Um, and there's this good quote that I saw recently too that said, "Beautiful girl, you can do hard things." And I'm like, I'm a beautiful girl who is doing hard things, and I'm raising beautiful girls who can do hard things. And I truly believe that, and truly believe that my kids' like entire existence and um, you know, becoming who they're supposed to be is not completely dependent on me. Although I'm like really want to be here to see all of that. So because I think they're pretty awesome people.
I'm sure they are. I'm sure they are. And they don't go you are teaching them. So they're, you know, they're all
Pretty
you.
awesome mom. Yeah.
What about you? What about you, Michelle?
I kind of have to piggyback off Deltra. I'm at peace, you know. And as I said, you know, I run my ministry. I hone in on my faith so much that I don't give myself time to have disruptive thoughts. I know that, you know, there are things that I should think about. But I just don't want my peace to be disrupted, so much so that I just focus on what's happening in the right now. I know that, for me, my job is to heal my body. So I'm taking care of myself through, eating well, and through my business, which helps me to eat well, and just making sure that I take care of myself so that, I do have peaceful days and I can rest at night, because it's true, the anxiety and all of that can keep you up, and you'll look crazy a week later because you haven't slept and you've pulled all your hair out with all these questions and thoughts. And I have transitioned from that place. So definitely just keeping my peace.
You guys are awesome. I want to read you guys something. So one of my favorite breasties is a woman named Teresa Shepherd. Do you know Teresa?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So she sent me an email yesterday, and we had an email exchange. I tried to get her to come on tonight, but I want to read you what she wrote me. I thank you for shining a light on this very important topic. I found myself thrust into this role at the age of 31, metastatic, and the mother of a 3 and 5-year-old. I then got divorced when they were ages 7 and 9. So yes, a single mom, fighting an aggressive metastatic breast cancer diagnosis. I can truly say that those little girls gave me the will to live and fight through anything that was thrown at me, including multiple diagnoses. It may seem unbearable at the thought of it, but when you are given precious lives as a gift, in spite of your life that you are fighting for on a daily basis, it just puts things in a different perspective. I remember always asking God, just let me live long enough to see that my babies know that I was their mom. Here it is, 22 years later, and my babies are now 22 and 24, and they are my buddies in life. I'm truly grateful to have raised my daughters in such a strong atmosphere. I know they are ready for those obstacles they may face in life. They literally spent their lives growing up in the cancer center with me. So I think they're ready. I tried to get her to come on and surprise you guys. I can tell you her story, but she had something else to do tonight. But 22 years.
Yes, I love following her story. I actually found her on Instagram like very short, like just a few days after my diagnosis, and it was just so encouraging to read her story and about how she like hit the road with her girls and
Right.
just made all these memories. And it's very much goals. She's goals.
She's cool.
Yeah.
She's
So
cool.
she definitely is an inspiration to me.
Yes.
I remember asking her, I said, so what was on your mind day by day? Like, did you think that you would make it? Because people always tell me, like, think positive, think positive. Don't worry about tomorrow or next week or next month or next year. And I said, did you just already just know, were you thinking positive, and that you would be here 22 years later? And she was like, no.
Right.
She's thinking I'm just taking it day by day. And then day after day came year after year. And so I definitely carry that with me too.
Yep.
And her daughters are beautiful people.
They are.
Precious.
And to see them graduate from college
Right.
and be
Right.
successful, grown women, I definitely look at my boys and I'm saying, okay, am I going to see them have facial hair? Am I going to see, like, who they bring home? Am I going to give them a hard time when, they have a fiance or a girlfriend or, whatever. So
Yes.
yeah, I'm always thinking about that.
And are you going to give them a hard time?
Yeah.
She's like, I want to.
Yes.
It's for fun.
I can't wait. You guys are so just beautiful, 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 beautiful. And it just takes so much to be a mom, and
Yeah.
and you know what though, to Teresa's point, that was her focal point. And being a mom is what helped her deal with the cancer, right? I mean, getting my daughter through college was my inspiration. So that's what we focus on, and it gives you a place to put your passion so that you don't have to worry about other stuff, because you got to get the dinner cooked. You got to get the homework done.
I got to be a mom.
Got to be a mom. Yeah.
And here's what I love about all of your stories is that growing up, my mom died when I was 7. She had ovarian cancer, and I didn't find out till I was almost 29. She died at 29, and I didn't find out till I was 28. what she died from.
Mm.
Right? It was just something down there. It was a thing that we didn't talk about. It was a horrible moment in our family's history that was not to be spoken of.
Yeah.
And I remembered her being sick. I remembered watching her go through chemo and kind of understanding some things, but not everything. And, you know, the fact that you guys are sitting down and having this evolving conversation with your children about what's going on with you and about family history and about the importance of, you know, living each moment in gratitude and taking care of your health. Like these are incredible things that I think that everybody watching can relate to, because
Right.
these are the conversations we need to be having with our children, you know, about their physical
Absolutely.
fitness. Not when they're just adults. Oh, now we care about our weight or about our health or exercise. Starting when they're young, their nutrition, the family history, right?
Yes, the family history. I was talking about that earlier this month. Soon as Black History Month started, I'm like, Black folks, come on now, we gotta do better with sharing the
Right.
family history. I can't just like, oh yeah, so and so died from, you know, like we don't talk about
Right.
that.
Right.
And why
No,
the
no.
secret? Why the secrecy?
Yeah.
Right.
So much of our
Yeah.
history is obscure, right? When you
Yeah.
think you want to trace your
We
family
gotta share
history,
what we can control, like what
Right.
we know, share it, and
Yeah.
you know,
What's your
And
her story?
especially with
I want
cancer.
your her
save
story,
lives.
you know? Yeah, and Black people don't talk about it. You know, there's a study done by the Ad Council a couple years ago, and the numbers were something like 92% of Black women know about breast cancer. 25% talk about it.
Mm.
17% act on the risk.
Mm.
That is just insanity. Insanity.
Yeah.
You've got to put on the table. And I believe young women are really a conduit to the family to go in. Okay, mom, did you get your mammo? Okay, mom, what are you doing? So
Hmm.
you guys can be such a voice for the family, and but you're doing it for your kids too, which is just, you know, phenomenal, phenomenal. So I take my hat off to you. You guys are just super miracle makers. I know,
Oh, thank
makers
you.
of miracles. I have this T-shirt. I couldn't find it. Actually, this is makers of miracles, and that's what you're doing. You know,
Wow.
you are
Yeah.
miracles making miracles. You know,
I
So
mean, 3 years later, I'm appreciative for that. Considering the median survival, just thinking about how devastated I was 3 years ago.
has
You
COVID
know,
drastically changed your routines and your life? Has 2020 really rocked your world? Are you guys moving forward, you know, more productive than ever? Because I know a lot of people had a really tough time, you know, not being able to have family members at infusions and doctor's appointments and things like that. How have you managed some of those things, and what advice can you give people watching?
I
Well,
think I've been
initially for
lucky.
me, oh, I'm sorry, Jamil.
Oh no, go ahead.
Initially for me, the COVID was definitely difficult. I have family that live out of state, you know, and my brother, he was a big part of my treatment, you know, coming to see me and coming to spend time with the nephews and with the COVID happening, we didn't get an opportunity to see him and we didn't get an opportunity to spend the holidays together. So, you know, I was so excited because I had just finished radiation and I was like, I'm about to party. I'm about to throw myself a big one. I finished radiation treatment. I was so hyped, and then boom, here's COVID. So I was like, okay, wait, I'm not doing anything. We're gonna stay home. We're gonna quarantine, and that was kind of the trajectory of 2020 for me. But any advice that I offer, you know, just be patient. This too will pass. It's not worth the risk, you know. It's not worth getting sick and not being able to have treatment done, you know, that's big for me. I want to continue my treatment. So just stay home, quarantine if need be. Know that this will pass. It's not worth it to miss out on getting well, you know.
right?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think I've been lucky where, I have such a full house. So I didn't have to be lonely. And I have been, seems like more productive and more connected being at home. I am far from my family, so I do miss, we weren't able to connect for the holidays or go visit or do the traveling. But then I'm so focused on the positive all the time that it was actually nice not having to go anywhere and be in my pajamas, during the holidays and not have to get all the people rounded up in the car and travel for 45 minutes to an hour back and forth. So it was very uneventful, low key, and it was really nice to just connect together. So I think just focusing on the positive, even though it's different, doesn't necessarily have to be negative. So
Yeah. It was definitely challenging for me, I think, because personally, I just feel like mentally, emotionally, it's hard to be told as someone living with, like a terminal diagnosis to be patient and like wait for something to be, like I feel like everyone else could be like, oh, I'll see you like whenever, and certainly before diagnosis, I was a little more like that. I've always been the kind of person who tried to follow through. Like if I bumped into an old friend, we're like, oh, we should get together. Like I was that person who would really try to do it, or I always like reach out to my siblings or whatever and try and make sure we're getting together, because memory making was really important to me even before my diagnosis, but just even more so, after. So it was really hard for me in 2020. And I was just starting to really get into traveling, especially solo travel, which is a big deal for a mom. Just, as a homeschooler, right before getting diagnosed, I had went to a conference for homeschool moms that was focused on awesome adulting. And it was all about making sure that you are cutting out time for yourself to have your own fun and make being an adult look like a fun experience that your kids can't wait to have themselves. So I had just started really carving out like so many, here and there trips by myself every year. And I was ready when 2020 started. It started out with a boom. I went to Hawaii. I went to, I had like 2 weeks kid free where I went to Hawaii. I went to see my best friend in Nevada. I went to see Hamilton on Broadway. And that was the last thing I did. Then COVID shut it all down. And I was like, I had other plans. I wasn't ready. So that's definitely been hard, and I really feel for the people I see come into my infusion center who it's like new for them because I know that it meant a lot to me to get to have, a family member or friend, someone there with me in the beginning. Like I said, eventually I got so comfortable, it just felt like my me time, and I'm very introverted. So I like going alone eventually and just like chilling with my music or something. So I'm fine now, but I just hate it for anyone that it's new to them and they might have to go through it alone. But my advice would just be to just be careful. And, we don't really have too many other options but being careful and taking care of your mental well being too. Because what I did was I just went and found as much as I could do online to continue my fun, like support groups. And I'm part of a creative writing group and a young adults cancer patient through Lacuna Law, great organization, where they will send you your art supplies for free. And like monthly they'll have like a Zoom and you do like, a different craft or something together. So stuff like that has really been keeping me sane. And my family is pretty much all really close. Like my mama and stuff are all like right here. And so, and she's one of my like caregivers when I need it. So it's nice that my family is like right here.
Do you guys ask for help?
Oh yeah.
If I need it, but it is hard because I'm one of those people that I want it done a certain way. So it's bad. I mean, I have 5 daughters and I'm trying to get better about getting them to help because I'd be like, I have 5 daughters. They should be doing a lot more. But but I like to do things myself, so that makes it hard. But my mom is a huge help. Like I was telling you guys I've been on steroids because I had pneumonia and which I'm still like getting over. But I was down because I could not get diagnosed with the pneumonia. It was so frustrating. So I was down for like a month and a half, and my mother was here she was the live-in caretaker for me, cook, clean, nanny for the kids, everything. So she's wonderful. Shout out to my mama. Strong Black mamas.
Have your doctors talked to you about the vaccine, about the COVID vaccine?
Yeah.
I brought it up to them.
I think I asked.
Mm-hmm. And what did they say? Because I know ASCO just put out a new guideline and they are recommending even patients who are in active treatment that it may be safe in between your cycles.
Yep.
And I wanted to know if people were talking about this with you guys, because initially, the recommendation was if you're under active, treatment, you may want to wait, but your treatment may be ongoing. It's not like you're going to do 4 cycles and you're done. So what are we doing for that? Because the mortality for COVID for breast cancer patients is about 50% higher. So we don't want you to get COVID. And it's not to say that you won't do well, but every protection we can give folks who are watching and give to you. I want to know that conversation. How can people have that conversation with their doctors?
Yeah, but I definitely asked. And so I know there's different recommendations for treatment. And but the consensus is during that off week to go ahead and, get the vaccine during that time and schedule it then. And the second one during the off week as well.
Right. What
Well,
about
my
you?
doctor didn't have much information at the time, and I think it was just based on where I live, and that right now I'm not even like in the BRCA of like, meeting the criteria for who can get the vaccine at the moment.
Mish, what about you?
Yeah, I haven't had that conversation with my doctor yet. Sorry, my dog's barking. So I'm not quite sure. I'm not too informed on it yet. I haven't had that conversation.
Do you want it? Are you interested in it? Do you think you need it?
I mean, I'm sure it would be helpful. I'm still doing my own research too, though, because I'm the type of person where I have to research things and know exactly what I'm doing and what's the benefits against the cons, so I'm still researching as well. Me and my family, we're still doing the research for that, but we do have family members like my grandmother and my grandfather who just recently got the vaccine, which is good for them. So we're still trying to research that.
And I love that you're doing that, because some people make decisions, and it's been very polarizing in our community, where people are just vehemently against it, and
Right.
good reason. The medical community, I hate it when people say, oh, Black people don't trust the medical community. No, it's the medical establishment has not earned the trust of Black and brown people, and so that you're actually doing your research and finding reputable sources. I put a link in the comments on Black Doctor for that ASCO recommendation. But we want to continue this dialogue with people so that you can learn how to evaluate it for yourself, right? And decide what's best for you based on the information you read, and then take it to that doctor. And don't be afraid to bring it to your doctor and say, listen, this is what I've been reading. What are your thoughts on this? And am I on the right track with this, so that you can, understand how to interpret all this data? Because every day is a new study and stuff is flying at us about COVID. But this is a good exercise to learn how to interpret data, I think, too.
I'm definitely getting it. I'm signed up like in 3 sources, so whoever gets me in first.
Great.
I got my second one, and I was wiped out over the weekend. I tell you, I had just no energy and wasn't feeling 100%. No fever, no chills, just exhausted, exhaustingly tired. But otherwise, it hurt less than a flu shot for me. And I got the
guess it's
Pfizer.
working.
Yeah.
I got my first one on Friday, and I had my arm was a little sore, but I just danced it out.
When those dance breaks, huh?
Yeah, dance break. We're doing dance breaks every Friday at 3:00. Check our Facebook page. Just 15 minutes, 3 songs, and I'll give you a little workout. Dance it out every Friday.
So when we can all gather again, Jamil, if we have a stand-up night at, say, LBBC or one of the other conferences, are you going to do some stand-up comedy?
I'm not a stand-up comedian myself. Now, I could do, a poetry jam. I used to remember the 5 Spot in Philly? We're both in Philly, yes.
Wow.
I can flow like that. I used to be MC Delicate, Gypsy Eyes. That's like going way back, right?
Wow. Yeah.
Stand-up comedy, no.
Yeah,
But I can find a good stand-up comedian, though, definitely.
I actually watched Wanda Sykes last night on Jimmy Kimmel, and she is hysterical. I never really watched her, but she was funny. She was great.
Yeah, Netflix. I think that it's called Netflix is Funny. I forget what it's called, but they always have new stand-up, on, and so I'm always cackling and hollering on, really good stuff.
Gotta laugh every
Very
day. Laugh
therapeutic.
and dance every day. Dance every day.
That's another thing we do in our house. If I have a good scan, we're always dance party, and I think we're really the only ones in the house that dance. My husband just kind of looks at us, but me and the kids, like even at the LBBC gala, that's what they remember, my little kids in their tuxes dancing all over the dance floor. They are not shy, so they definitely dance like their mama.
Yeah, we love dancing up in here too, all the time. Dancing and karaoke. We do a lot of karaoke.
Oh, wow.
That's been keeping me sane because I love going out and doing karaoke. So I'm missing that. And what you just mentioned, as 2020 was my first full year living through this diagnosis. And I was really looking forward to connecting in person with other cancer patients and all those like
Yeah.
galas and conferences. So yeah, that was another thing that I forgot to mention. That was kind of a bummer to like
Yeah, I was
miss
actually
out
thinking about
on.
that earlier today. People are asking me where I met most of the women that I'm so close to that have breast cancer.
Yeah.
It was at those different, I was like, oh yeah, I met her at that event, and I met her at
Yeah.
that event. And then, yeah,
Yeah.
so that's definitely helpful in that
Important.
way.
Yeah.
So I'm going to send you, the TNBC Foundation has, TNBC Tuesdays. They have a great, kind of support group, kind of just a Zoom talk. So I'll send you the link to that. I'll put that in the
Nice.
chat, but it's a great thing for TNBC breasties. And
Thank
you guys,
you.
I'll dance anytime. So y'all can just call me.
I know, just say the word.
Oh, I will. You know I will. So I got my tutu, whatever we got. We got.
Sounds like end of 2021, beginning of 2022, we need to be planning to meet up in person.
Have
So
a
that
party. We had a
continue-
great dance party, at LBBC last year.
Yep,
So we'll
yep.
do it.
Mm-hmm.
We'll do it again. Get the DJ. We'll be
Mhm.
ready. We'll be ready. But you
Yep.
guys are like rock stars.
Incredible.
Incredible. And I just love you all so much. And keep doing what you're doing. And we're gonna talk about the book. I'm gonna call y'all because I think we need to write a children's
Oh.
book.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
I'll write the forward.
Yeah.
How can people reach you, and how
Yeah.
can they support your initiatives, organizations that matter to you? And maybe if they have questions or just want to reach out because something in your story resonated with them, how can they find you?
Easily accessible on Facebook. It's Misha, if you want to drop that in there for me. It's Misha Smith. That's where you can actually get the information for my ministry. But it's also called Faith, Love, and Favor. So that's faith, space, the plus sign, love, space, the plus sign, and then favor. It's pretty unique, but usually just connecting to my personal Facebook, that would get you connected to Faith, Love, and Favor, which is the name of my ministry. I'm also a health coach, health transformation coach. So if anybody has any questions regarding how they can eat, differently to maybe help with side effects that they're feeling, they could always reach out to me for that as well. Because I have a long list of foods, and I'm really big on my superfoods. So there's that as well. Anything that anybody wants to talk to, or just being young, resonating with that. Because again, this process started for me when I was 26. So from 26 to 29, I've had to grow up pretty quickly, so that's that.
Yeah, and I'm on Facebook as well. But really, I'm very active on my Instagram, which is Deltra, what you call underscore does underscore it, because it's about me doing all the things while I can. So Deltra does it on Instagram. Yeah, and I am a baddie ambassador for the Breast of Us, which is an awesome organization to check out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I just share there, and I'm totally open to anyone reaching out to me, to talk cancer stuff, parenting, mom and stuff. I'm very big into conscious parenting. And like I said, I'm an OG home educator. So if anyone ever needs some support because you're going crazy or something with all the kids home, I'm there.
It's funny because my dad is a teacher, and come to find out, I have a knack for teaching since my kids
See?
are virtual.
I feel like we just in society automatically put ourselves in like, oh, I couldn't be with the kids all there. I couldn't do this.
That is true.
That's how I felt at first. I was, public school all my life, and I was like, I can't teach nobody to read. Now that's like one of my favorite things. I love teaching people to read now. I love on my sick days listening to my kids read to me. That's been a blessing.
Yes.
Like my oldest recently cuddled with me, my 13-year-old. Shh, don't tell him. But she cuddled with me on the couch when I wasn't feeling good, and she read to me from some Grimm's fairy tales that we love. So that was sweet. But
yeah, I definitely love it. So come to find out, I have a knack for teaching. But for me, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. So True Jamil Kali on Instagram, Jamil Kali Rivers on Facebook, Jamil Kali on Twitter, and then my new nonprofit launch, the Chrysalis Initiative, is in the bio of, of both. So it's the Chrysalis Initiative on Instagram, Chrysalis Initiative on Facebook, Chrysalis Initiative on Twitter. And so the breast cancer coaching and educational initiative for patients, in particular Black women, right? So I have actually, just due to the recent deaths recently, I think with the breast cancer coaching, it was always, we're here and available for people if they need us. But now every Black woman I know, if you have breast cancer, come find us. Let us help you. Let us have your back, because I can tell you that the just 6 recent Black women that we've been helping have been impacted by
Right.
implicit bias and provider bias. And Dr. Mo, she's one of our medical advisors, so I'm constantly texting her and telling her about what's going on. I'm just not having it anymore. I feel like
We can't have it
not
anymore.
just
We can't.
again
Yeah.
taking care of myself. Let the Chrysalis Initiative have your back too. And we're trying to disrupt, disparities in cancer care, period. Shut it down. We're done. We're done dying. So if I'm a Black woman and I come to you and I need care, I need that implicit bias and provider bias out the window. And we deserve that quality care just like everybody else. And so Chrysalis Initiative will be in your business as much as you allow us to be. So let us have your back. Let us advocate for you. The breast cancer coaching is there, and we're breaking up barriers. So whatever the barrier is when it comes to your treatment, we're there for you.
Yeah.
And so I'm happy that Chrysalis Initiative is a big success so far, and we're trying to grow to at least impact 30,000 women this year. And so, let us help
Do
you
it. Let's do it.
and have your
That's
back.
awesome. That's
Yeah,
so
we did.
awesome.
We did a Thriver Thursday Facebook Live with Jamil on our touch page last week. So if you want to go back and watch, you can hear her tell that story, because she is kicking butt, man. Taking names, kicking butt. And we got her
Taking
back.
off,
We got
too.
your
I mean,
back.
it just took off like a rocket this
Yeah,
year.
we got your back, girl. So let's get it done.
Yes.
You have to
And
put-
we're all working together, all in different, it's such a multi-layered issue.
Yeah.
The need is so great. But I mean, just thinking about the women that we've helped
Yeah.
thus far,
Yeah.
every Black woman I know
Yeah.
has had an issue with provider bias and implicit bias. And
Yeah.
so I used to just tell people kind of in passing, oh, get involved with the Chrysalis Initiative. But now I'm like, if you're a Black woman, come find me. Let's get together. Let us have your back.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And you will. I know you will.
Yep. Ricky, how can folks find you?
At Touch BBCA, Ricky at touchbbca.org. Ricky Dove on Twitter and Instagram. Reach out. I'm here. I will talk to anybody, anywhere, try to get you whatever resources you need. And I know when to call my girl Jamil. And so,
Right. And I call you too.
You call me. We call each other. Hey, Jamil. But Jamil call me anytime saying, okay, this is what I need. And I got you. So that's what we do. That's what we do. That's how we do it. So you guys rock. You guys, I'm so proud of you. I think you are like just forces of nature, amazement. And when COVID's over, I will babysit anytime. My grandma name is Debbie, Lovey Debbie. So I will babysit. We can start moving around. You can drop them off at my beach. They can come to my beach anytime. So I got the kids anytime. Let me know.
Love it. I'm looking forward to
Remember you said that. It's on tape.
Right?
I'm serious.
Documented.
I'm serious. I will babysit anytime. Just call me. I got
Nice. My kids are good though. So just rambunctious. They run around a lot.
Bring them to my beach, let them run in the water. Water and sand are the best toys.
Oh, this is true. This is true. Before we go, I got to give a shout out. Every single week in February, I'm highlighting a Black-owned business, a female organized, female-owned, Black-owned business. And today is Mocha Prescribed. My friend Courtney Scrubs and her colleagues are physicians. They are attorneys. They have designed activewear for Black women, especially. This one says ambitious, and it says Mocha Prescribed. There is a discount code that we will put in the comments, but for us, by us, because we are ambitious and we are amazing and we are our ancestors' wildest dreams. I'm Dr. Monique Gary on all social media outlets except for Clubhouse, but the LinkedIn and the Twitter and the Instagram, and most people have my cell phone number, and you guys text me and I give advice where I can and connect you to other Black doctors, because I know that we have some trouble finding folks in our network. So if you need stuff, talk to Ricky, talk to Jamil, reach out to these lovely ladies, and we will get you connected, because you are not fighting this battle alone by any means. You got a whole army of sisters behind you. And so we are just so thankful for you watching and thankful to our sponsors. Next week.
Next week, we're going to talk about prostate cancer and breast cancer.
Yeah.
Yeah, but also, Mo, I learned the other day that it was National Black Women's Doctor Day. I had never heard of
Women
it.
physicians, yeah.
So happy day.
Well, thank you.
I
We had the first one 2 days ago. No, yesterday. It was the inaugural National Black Women Physicians Day. Less than 2% of all physicians are Black women, which means that even less than that are surgeons. You know, it's probably less than half of 1%. You know,
Wow.
I'm the only Black female breast cancer surgeon for the whole state of Pennsylvania. So
Mm.
encourage your daughters, encourage your sons to
Yeah.
go into medicine. They can do it. And there are mentors, and we need representation, because representation matters.
Yeah. We're about to start our HBCU internship program. If you want to be an intern,
Right.
it'll be on our Facebook page. Check it out, because we got to grow some Black doctors, right?
That's right. Yeah. And
Yeah.
we hope this has been relatable and reliable and real. That's what we set out to do every Wednesday night. And so thank you, ladies, for joining us tonight.
you.
And
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Thank you. Rescue love.
Bye.
See you next week. Rescue love. Be blessed. Be safe and healthy.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Beautifuls. Bye.